Hello and welcome to the first episode of my 2025 reading journal. Hello lovely bookworms, I'm Esmay from Paradise Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and welcome to the first episode of my 2025 reading journal. I think I did them a couple of times last year, like 3 or something along those lines, where I showed you my 2024 reading journal, and I quickly realized that some parts of that one were just not trackers I wanted to track, if that made sense. Also, filming it was a lot more difficult. I actually recently got a tripod so I can film overhead shots, which is not just useful for my Game of the Books, I realized, but also for this, because I now have all the full space to work on my reading journal as I talk you through it and I show you my journal. So let's just first go over what my journal will entail for this year. I then want to go over my January, do a couple of additions, adding some books to it, and yeah, let's just dive right into my reading journal. So this is my front page. As you can see, it literally just says what it is. It's a front page, it's just a cover. I then have sort of that first initial page that shows you a little bit of the content. I mean, surprise, surprise, it's a reading journal. I really like doing this scrapbooking style, and I do want to see if I can include a little bit more of this throughout this reading journal this year. So see if I can do some spreads during readathons, something along those lines, but we'll see if that will happen. Then the first page I have is my reading tracker and also my book tracker. So reading tracker actually sounds what it is. So every single day of the year I want to track if I read. I also do this in my regular journal, so I mean we're already in January as I'm filming this, but these will also be filled in my regular journal, and then I will sort of move them over to this one as I fill that in after the month is done, and I'll show you that in the update for January. So that's basically the February one. So I'll go back on January and then go to February. This on the right side is my book tracker, and I think I can already add a little bit to this because I have read a couple of books already this year. But what I will do is color code all of the ones that I draw in. So every single one will be a book. I put 120 in here. I think it is reasonable for me to say that I'll stay underneath that count. That's why it's so high. Last year I read 107, I believe, and I think that is about my maximum. This year I would like to read 50, but we'll just see how the year will go. But I have already read a couple, so I figured I could add those in. So I read 3. So that's my January one so far, and then I'll just continue that throughout the month. Let me go back to that initial page. Then moving on, we have the book of the month. So I will here paste in my favorite book of that month. And this is a list just for my regular 2025 favorites. And that's basically all there is to this one. I have my best book of 2025. So from all of the favorites I have in all of the months, I want to get to one at the end of the year. So I'm very curious to see which book will come on this spot. But we'll see. Next up is my 25 for 2025. So these are 25 books. I think this is the same thing I did last year. And I tracked the 25 that I put on a list and see if I've ticked them off or will tick them off. And I will put a little marker on it that lets me know that I finished it. I then have a page with the series tracker. This one is probably going to expand as the year grows. I, for now, have 6 on here. So the Shades of Magic series, read the first one. The Imperium series, because I really want to read Lightbringer. Let me zoom you in a bit so you can see it. Bridgerton, which I read quite a few of. Then The Sin Eater's Daughter, Fallen Kingdoms, and Little Thieves. If I finish a book, I'm going to add a little star to it. And when we go into the next year, so 2026, I know that's a long way ahead. If there's some over from this spread, I'll probably move them over to the new year. Then I have my wish list. So these are all books that I would like to buy. And the one I have on here now is The Crimson Moth. This is a book that Femke really enjoyed, so that's why I decided to put it on my list. And then on the right side with the little headstone. I have potential DNF, so I have 6 places now. I rarely DNF a book, so I hope that this stays empty. But if I do DNF a book in this year or any of the months, then that will be in this spot. I have my book bingo, which is a little bit bigger this year. I know that normally it's, I think, 5, and it's like right here, but I figured I would do it a little bit bigger. If I have a bingo of some sort, that can be this way. I would say no lower than, I would say 5. So we'll see. It has to be 5 or the entire row, but I would say just the cross. Then every single one of these, every single one of these. If I have a book bingo, I'm allowed to buy a book for myself. So I'll revert back to the wish list, hopefully. So I kind of want to keep track a bit of my book buying. I will say that if I find something that I really like, I'll definitely buy it. But yeah, book bingo. Then I have my alphabet challenge, which just goes A to Z. I gave this one and also this one a full page this year, which is new, but I like it. So there's that one. And then we go over to January already. So all of my spreads for this year will have this kind of structure to it, where I have a theme, which is the same to my regular calendar that I use on my iPad. And then every single month has a new theme, which I will show you in that month. So for the month of January, it is none other than these beautiful, beautiful snowflakes. And I think this is absolutely stunning. So yeah, let's just put you in a little bit of a time lapse so I can do a little bit of my TBR and I'll revert back to you. So this is how I plan to do the TBR spread. So I had blue color cover, wild card, more than 300 pages, TBR jar, a fast-paced book, and my bonus. I will already add, because we're into the month a little bit, which ones I've read so far. I'm gonna do that with this little tiny ticky thing. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. So these are the 3. Shall I do? I'll do bottom. I think that's nicer. Okay, so those 3 I've already read, and that is the TBR page of it. Alright, so moving on, I then have where I can do some just some reviews and things that I like. I think I'm gonna now put in my reviews for these 3 before I, just lose them a little bit. I have 3 pages so far, but if I find that I'm going over that 4 book mark, then of course I'm going to duplicate this one. So let's just write a couple of reviews and go into that a little bit. Alright, so those are my reviews done. So I did all 3 of the books. So I have 3 stars, 3 stars, and a 5-star. This is a reread and still so good. But I'll talk more about this in my January wrap up as the month is over. So then I think I'm already gonna add these books into this little roster as well. So let me pull up my photos once again. So the first one I read was this guy. So that's all 3 of them added in. Let's give them the stars they deserve. So 3, which is this guy. Another 3 for this guy. And then 5 for this one. And that is everything for my reading journal this month. I am excited to dive right into just reviewing again and getting back into the swing of things. I hope this is an interesting thing for you to see. If there's anything you would like me to add, please let me know. And once I thank you so much for watching, please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so I get post notifications every single time that we post. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!